Hi, my name is Steve Bitterman, and I'm happy to be on the Keith Andrew Network for this current interview that's going on.
Hey, I'm Tom Paolino. I love Keith Andrew. Keith Andrew is the underdog. He's the man with the great questions, the great sunglasses, the great shirts. And I'd be happy to come back to the Keith Andrew Show anytime. Thanks for having me.
For people who want to know what is the Keith Andrew Network, the whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. To prove them, you can still amount to something. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew, and welcome to 1046. That's right, 1046. I'm here with two great upcoming actors in the entertainment world. It is PG-13, freedom speech, self-expression. You can say anything you want, talk about anything you want. Plus, you're making a new friend out of it. So that being said, first question I want to ask both of you is tell our audience a little bit about yourself. And Steven, we'll start off with you.
Okay, well, you can call me Steve. Only my family can call me Steven. But anyway, I'm a retired corporate tax manager. I was in that line of work for over 45 years. I decided upon retirement, I was looking to do something totally away from that, and I got involved with background acting. I got in touch with a few agencies, and I've been doing some work on television shows, a couple of feature films, and a lot of independent films as well. And so really, I've been doing this now for just about 2 years, just upon my retirement then. So far so good. You know, hopefully this the current situation with the strike won't affect the workload.
No, absolutely. What about you, Tom? Same question.
Well, gosh, I just finished a play, Pericles by William Shakespeare, and it was amazing. It was so much fun to do Shakespeare. It's a fourth Shakespeare play I did. The last one I did was 30 years ago. So to bring all that life experience and acting experience to that text, man, it was such a beautiful cast and space and director, and I just had the time of my life. I'm also doing a movie in Boston. I have a 2 days on the movie. I'm back on Sunday the 23rd, and I'm making my own television show, which is called Lawyers Gone Bad. I raised $17,000 on GoFundMe. We shot a trailer in Buffalo on April 8th, and a producer in South Africa picked it up. So we're making the pilot in South Africa in October. So I'm having the best year of my life. I'm very grateful.
Excellent. Good.
Absolutely. And Tom, I want to ask you, did you want to talk about the strike or did you not want to talk about it?
I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. You know, I'm still very new to the information. So you know, I actors are very emotional people. You know, before I'm very emotional, and really before I say too much, I think I should research it a little bit more. I will say that I'm going to the picket lines in Times Square tomorrow at 9 a.m. I was there on the first day, which was Friday, and I have read a little bit about it, and it does seem to me that there are some things that need to be fixed from the acting side. You know, this much I'm clear about. Actors, our instrument is ourselves. And I personally work very hard to purify my system so that I'm a channel for justice and authenticity. And so the idea that a producer could take an image of, let's say, a background actor, and we know this is something that was being planned, and reproduce it, you know, and the actor be paid like a pittance, and that image be that instrument that I've worked very hard to develop be reproduced for all eternity without the actor being paid. Like that's just totally unacceptable.
I
And
agree.
and we've got to do something about that. So
Right.
I think
Right.
I'm answering my own question. That alone is a deal breaker when it comes to that contract being okay for us.
Right. And as a background actor myself, you know, I'm not in the union yet. I've not met the qualification, being new to the game. And when I read about that with the artificial intelligence and the fact that they would pay actors or background actors specifically, let's say $200, whatever the fee is, for a one-time deal, and then use the image in perpetuity is to me is outrageous.
No, absolutely. The one thing I do want to point out is it's actually fun. I can actually swivel back and forth now, so it looks like I'm talking to you guys, but I am obviously. But you guys can do the same thing if you want. But there's this stupid thing I keep seeing online. I think it was Instagram or Facebook. I don't know, take a guess. It's on both of them, but I think it's on Instagram where it's like, oh, this is an AI and we can do our own TV show and have AI people talking. Who the hell wants to see robots talking to people? It's kind of like if it's not real and authentic, you know, I know you guys are not in the room, but this feels, you know, real. It's human connection. Honestly, hopefully one day I get my own studio, but this is a step in the right direction. If you're gonna watch make believe people, like I'm gonna talk like this, but it's like a bad Godzilla movie, you know, lips don't match up. It's kind of like, what are you doing? But with every artificial intelligence, we've seen so many Terminator movies. We've seen Jurassic Park movies. It's like you do not play God. Because if that shit, and it's uncensored, that shit can come back and bite you in the ass. You know, it's making robots like, oh, look how stupid these robots are. Oh, push a robot over. Eventually, artificial intelligence, it won't be a joke. But I know that's a completely different subject. But I was saying to Steve off the air, if you take my face or Tom's face, and he's like, okay, we give you $1 million. But if you're in a movie that's against gays, or if you're in a movie against, I don't know, racism or something, and they make you say something that you didn't really say, someone can walk over to you on the street and say, hey, I saw you did that film. Did you really have to say what you had to say? And then all your actions were a punch in the face because, you know, they make things say certain things, right? You know what I mean? You're putting words in your mouth and it cause situations for the normal actor saying, hey, I have the heart and passion to act on stage, put my energy into it. Here you are putting me in these films. That's great. But one, you're not being paid for. And two, you're making me say crap that I don't want to blow back on me. And Tom, I'll give you that.
Well, listen, the bottom line is that absolute power corrupts absolutely. We know that from history class. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Checks and balances are the bedrock of this country. So it's simple checks and balances. You know, these people they've lost perspective, and that's what happens when you're in an addictive cycle. It's an addiction to the material world, the worldly clamors, let's call them. And look, I don't judge it, but actually what I think is really important right now is that we reserve a space for these people to reclaim their humanity. You know, they're you know, it is wrong, but they're still human beings, right? This is the $60,000 question, of course, is are there truly bad people who just cannot reclaim their humanity, and I think there are, but but they're very, 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 very few and far between. And my hunch is, let's say there are 20, major studios, that not all of them are sociopaths. Some of them can be rehabilitated, and I hold a space for those people to come to their senses and reclaim their humanity.
Well, you did bring up a point, but I will put my 2 cents in. After Steve, we would like to hear from you.
Yes. Well, again, to me, a lot of it has to do with the finances as well. It's not really all about humanity, but really, it seems to me that some of the production companies may be looking to cut costs by using these artificial images of individuals, and in this way not have to pay the actors. Me being new to the game, I'm not all that familiar with how this is going to work. I know that in certain films that they could fill up a room by just moving people around, and now they're just going to have like robots or images of the individuals filling the room instead. And to me, it's more of a cost-cutting motivation for the production companies, and not just there's a people aspect that is being overlooked. I think it's more financial than anything else.
No, you're right. And you mentioned about people redeeming themselves. As long as you haven't killed anyone, I think everyone's redeemable. But there's some people that they're too far gone. I probably gotta get some blowback for mentioning these names, but I'm gonna say them anyway. People said, for example, as you said, you can redeem yourself. There's no chance in hell that Osama bin Laden, Hitler, or any of those people are redeemable. They're going to burn in hell for the end of time. But if you're saying, here's someone, give me an example. It's one of my favorite wrestlers, Booker T. He got arrested. He was in a gang, but he learned something from that. And now he is a Hall of Famer. He turned his life around. He got into a situation where you could have went down a wrong path, but you learn from it. If you can learn from it, then you can better yourself and you can better other people around you.
True.
But there's so people that, like, who are you? Who moved rock? It's adding gas to the fire. People talk about the 2024 election, who we're going to pick. I just want someone normal. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I want someone normal who would do the right thing, put America first, help, knock down this inflation BS, because we can't get I go to food shopping and we get out under $300. It never used to be like that. You got prices that are ridiculous. Going into the summer season, the gas prices are going to be ridiculous. But one thing I do want to ask you guys is, I heard on the radio, for right now, they're trying to make it Manhattan only. They do not want people to drive in Manhattan. Do you agree or disagree with that? And Tom, I'm going to start with you.
Well, this is all news to me. You're saying that there's a movement to that people not drive in New York City?
No, well, not the city yet. Only Manhattan. They don't want people to drive. They want people to take trains and buses. And I don't know exact details. But
I guess that's the congestion pricing issue that we have now. Now, again, I'm a former New York City resident. I moved up to the Hudson Valley just about a year and a half ago when my wife and I retired. And now we would be victims of that congestion pricing, not being a part of the city. But really, it really is from 96th Street south within Manhattan that you'd have to pay an extra fee. And then, of course, you've got other jurisdictions like New Jersey that are fighting this because, it's supposed to be funding New York City, and it's not really going to be used for these other jurisdictions, and there's a certain unfairness involved with this. So I'm not really in favor of congestion pricing, but they're trying to take away the ability to drive in Manhattan anyway with the additional bus lanes and the bicycle lanes, and I'm actually more and more terrified each time I go into the city driving wise because of these delivery individuals and their scooters and whatever, and the lack of parking due to the fact that you've got all these bicycle riders in it, which again, I'm all for, but again, there are some negatives to it for we drivers in the city.
I mean, my gut feeling is you have to understand you're dealing with New Yorkers, and New York, that, it's almost like Texas in a way. I would bet all the money in China that will never, ever, ever happen. It'd be like outlawing steak in Texas. The freedom to move in New York City, get somewhere fast. If there's a problem with the subway and some hedge fund guy wants to jump in an Uber, you're not going to stop that.
Sure.
No, you're absolutely right.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
So the next question, actually, I want this to be more interactive. Tom, do you have any questions for Steve? Steve, do you have any questions for Tom? Because I like bringing people together.
Yeah, that's
right. Right, sure. Well, Tom, are you a member of SAG?
I am. I've been a member
of
SAG since 1996, and I'm a proud member of SAG. In fact, I love SAG. I love the benefits of the SAG Foundation. I used to belong to the Film Society, and
Well, I'm looking to get in right now. I've had a couple of bump ups as a background actor. I just need one more to be qualified to pay the initiation fee. So I'm going to be looking for that once all this ends and they start having productions back, whenever that way may be.
Right. Well, my answer to this is really always the same, which is what can we control and what can we not control?
Right.
I've learned, I took the Shakespeare play, which paid me $300. We rehearsed for a month, performed for a month. I made $6,000 in 2 days on Law and Order in November. And if you do the math of 300 over the hundreds of hours I spent rehearsing and performing Pericles, you have to ask yourself, why would you do that? And the answer is because it made me a better actor. And that is something I can control. And I really believe that when the quality gets better, the union card, everything else comes. And I think it actually radiates right off. I think directors, that's their training. They're trained to detect luminosity, right? Whether it's a guy standing in a line as an extra, or someone in a co-star with Tom Cruise, shining and receiving. It sells tickets. So I know I shine a lot more after doing Shakespeare because you want to give me a 2-liner on the FBI. I just memorized 400 Shakespeare lines in a month and did them with some pretty successful results. So let's go co-star on network TV,
Now, and to be able to do that as part of a play, in front of a live audience, that adds to it as well. That enhances your background as a seasoned actor.
I'll tell you something, Steve. The best thing you can do for yourself is get into a play. I do a play every year because I'll tell you, when I'm on set, we can do another take. But when I'm on the stage, you have to keep going.
Right.
Get a line. And that's the best thing for an actor.
Gotcha. No, understood. Now I'm still actually waiting for my first line in any. I'm that person that walks by the window in the background or on the subway, one of the seats in the subway car or something like that. So the first line is going to be coming one of these days.
Yeah, but you have a passion for it, right? Like you have I can feel it. You have a real heartfelt feeling for the work, and I can't tell you how happy it made me to see those people, children, older people. I live in Sunnyside, Queens. I had people stopping me in the street and
Right.
saying, I can't believe you've brought Shakespeare to Sunnyside, Queens, right here in
Nice.
Sunnyside,
Right. Right.
and more importantly, I worked so hard to get
Right.
those parts right.
Mhm.
And I hope that for you, that's the
Right. Thanks.
real manna from heaven. It's not
Right.
the lines come. It's that feeling of like, I touched God in that.
Mhm.
I reached my potential and I touched
Very
people.
nice.
It's a spiritual calling. It really
Right.
is.
Right.
But you
Right.
mentioned one thing. I'm a big fan of Bill Maher. I haven't seen the show, but thanks to the strike, who knows when that's going to come back.
Right.
Second crossing on that. But the first one, as you mentioned, Tom, the Illuminati. Bill Maher always jokes about the Illuminati. Do you think that's a real thing, or do you think people just like saying it?
Well, I said luminous. I think you thought I said Illuminati, the
Mhm.
Illuminati. I get Instagram messages from the Illuminati. I don't really know who they are. So,
Right. I'm not familiar.
Well, you're not missing anything.
Right. Right. Right.
But the second thing I want to ask both of you is, well, first off, both of you are welcome back to do one-on-one interviews. But
Sure.
for
Thank
our
you.
audience, I like bringing people together, shake up the show. Let us know if you like the new format. But I recently saw The Flash. First off, I'm not a big fan of whatever the hell his name is, who's the Flash. They should have, he was miscast, number one. The best part out of the Flash movie was Michael Keaton, number one. He saved the movie. Number two, Supergirl was really good. I thought that was a great aspect on a different alternative reality. But it's kind of like I don't know if did you guys see it? Did you not see it?
I did not see it. No.
I have not seen Flash nor Supergirl yet, but I did
I,
hear that Michael Keaton is back as Batman.
I won't ruin the ending, but I will change my question to another question.
Right.
How do you feel about them using CGI to bring back dead actors into like, oh, hey, I just walked around a corner and guess who's here? It's Christopher Reeves. Or you walk around,
Yeah.
hey, that's Carrie Fisher. I didn't know Carrie Fisher was in this movie. It's kind of like, where do you draw the line? Because that's how it all started, CGI, and now they're doing the all AI crap. Do you think it's getting out of hand? Do you think it's, someone passes away, does it leave it alone? And Stephen, I'm going to ask you.
I think they're taking away the reality of the matter, and I think that it's best to just move on and not go back. I mean, it's like with this artificial intelligence, they can bring back Humphrey Bogart, Marilyn Monroe. I mean, it's scary what can be done. And I don't know if you've seen the new Indiana Jones film, what they did with Harrison Ford in the first half hour of the film, making him look like the old Harrison Ford, much like I think they had done with Robert De Niro in
Irishman.
The Irishman. But the thing is, he had the young face, but he still had the rough voice like this. And you could tell it was totally out of sync.
Well, first off, great movie. That's a perfect ending to a great franchise.
Right.
They should just leave it alone.
Right.
But there's certain things about that too. But it's kind of like, you imagine what, I'm a big wrestling fan, obviously because of the shirt. I like The Rock, I like The Miz, John Cena. You imagine watching and seeing Gorilla Monsoon or Bobby the Brain Heenan. I would love to see them again. It will be very awkward as hell to see them CGI. It's kind of like, obviously they're not going to be up to date with the new people like Randy Orton, Cena.
Right.
But you can do an old show, bring back WWF, and
Right.
do it animated. You could do it like in a different light for the old fans. And I'm like, okay, that's something because you're paying
Right.
respect to them. Just slapping
Right.
Gorilla Mon's. Here's an example. There's a wrestler, Seth Rollins. He's in the ring. He's doing a promo. The lights go out. The lights come back on. And Andre the Giant is standing in the ring. You're
Mhm.
only going to see Andre the Giant if you're on TV. If you're in the audience, you're going to be like, who the hell is he talking to?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing some of the old matches with Bruno Sammartino versus some of the folks like Fred Blassie. Those were the days. That's when I was a young wrestling fan way back when, probably before you were born, Keith.
Well, I do have a couple questions for you guys off the air, but the last one I want to ask you, both of you. Tom, I'm going to start off with you. The first question I want to ask you is when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now, and what do you recommend it to other people?
Well, I say yes a lot, Keith, truthfully.
Yeah.
I like to say yes to anything acting related.
Right.
And I also, to be honest, I liked that there was, I don't know what the politically correct term is, that this show was, that you have some, that you're, you know what I'm trying to, how do I say that? I don't know. But I liked that. And I think it's great. It's inspiring to me, actually, because I've had some challenges in my life that I've overcome and been like, why can't I do that? I'm going to do that. I'm doing that. That's all that you're not going to tell me I can't do that, you know? So I like that I guess it's the spirit of, the underdog spirit, maybe, you know, I'm a big fan of that.
Right. Right.
What about you, Stephen?
Well, I mean, I said yes. I mean, I appreciate what you're doing, Keith. And again, I'm from a personal standpoint, I'm just trying to get myself out there as an actor. But what you're doing and what you've done for the past 10 years now, and happy 10th anniversary last month. I have one of my younger daughter actually had some learning disabilities. She had this mild form of epilepsy growing up, and she's outgrown that, and she's actually been able to achieve a position as a teacher's assistant up here in the Hudson Valley where we live, and she's doing well. She's married. I have a beautiful granddaughter that lives here with us as well. You know, we have a mother-daughter house. So now, when I'm not background acting, my full-time job was grandma and grandpa daycare for our 19-month-old beautiful granddaughter, and we love it. But to get back to the question, you know, I've lived through some of that with my daughter, and you know, I think it's great what you're doing, Keith, and showing that you know, again, as Tom had mentioned, the underdog aspect of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a couple questions for you guys off the air, but wrapping up, there will be a part 2, one-on-one. We can definitely work that out. But this will be aired on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all social medias. All my episodes are different. I like to test the water. You know, the one thing about the Keith Andrew Network, you have the right to freedom of speech, self-expression, and we're just having a normal conversation. Plus, I like bringing people together. But wrapping up our interview, if you're watching, leave a comment below. Love to interact with you guys.
Thank you.
But wrapping up, thank you. I can't wait for part 2 down the road.